Yes, it happens every single fucking time, even when I'm here. So, my name is Brittany Petersheim. I'm your no bullshit best friend. If you don't know me, now you do. I am from No Place for BS. That's my group on Facebook. And BrittanyPetersheim.com. It's a lot to spell. Look up there how to spell it. What else? So basically, for the most part, I help men and women who have been victimized by sexual crimes and get them from going from like the victimhood mindset to a survivor mindset and what I like to call being a liver. You're past the point of all that shit. And you're doing the things that you want to do for you to live the life that you want to live. So, there's that. My little workshop, it's called Bitches Be Powerful. This is for everybody, not just ladies. One of the big things that I've always had to deal with is kind of rising from my own ashes again and figuring out what my next step is going to be and where and how to harness that so that I can get to that point. So with the whole powerful thing, you know, it was a lot of where does my power come from? Like, what is it that drives me to continue and to continue doing shit that most people are in awe of, you know? And even more so, like, what it is, if it's past shit that puts into your fire, so to speak, the furnace that fuels all of your power, if it's past shit, what you want for the future. Mine comes a lot from don't underestimate me. I am a big fan of tell me I can't do something and I'll fucking do it. So that's where mine comes from. And we're always talking about like our why and our passion and all of that. But there's so much more than just being passionate about something. There's a level of there's a deeper level that fuels that passion, and that's what my whole workshop is about today. So I have my little handouts. I want you guys to go through while we're going, and you can just listen and write stuff through, whatever comes up, or you can do it later. But I really want you to examine where that power is coming from, what it is that motivates that power, what it is that really just fuels everything about you to continue doing, continue growing, all of that kind of stuff. So, there's that. Is there any questions on that part? Good. Moving on.
Well, do you have like an example?
Yeah. So like I said, for me, my power comes from proving people wrong. Having the childhood that I did and all that kind of shit, and going through the relationships throughout my life that obviously were not good ones, I was definitely told that I would never go to college. I would never do well in college. I went to college, I graduated magna cum laude, and I graduated with a 3.8 GPA. I'm a member of the National Honor Society for Criminal Justice. And I have like a shit ton of recommendations from my professors to continue. So for me, like, as just an example, I was told that I couldn't do something. And, bless you. I was told I couldn't do something. And also, like, I grew up with a really narcissistic mom, so it was a lot of, you're not good enough to do those things. So that's where, like, my inner fire, my inner power comes from literally just flipping off the world that says, no, you can't. And changing that into, watch me. You know? So hopefully that answered your question in a way.
Can you give some other examples of, like, where your power would come from?
Your power could come from being a mom. You know, your power could come from wanting to save animals. I'm trying to find the right word. Like, that little, like, nugget that's inside of you, right? That is where everything I feel is stored. That it's just the one thing that if there's ever a situation that's what you call on. You know, as I'll just use the mom thing for instance. There's a different power that you get when you become a mother, right? And that's what you will like tap into to basically fuel everything else around you in like in your home. So it's that drive, it's the I'm trying to find the right word here. The drive, the
Why? Is there like that one thing you're just not willing to bend on? Like, no matter what what comes up in your life, it's like not like, you know, like looking at it like you said, people tell you you can't do something, like, no fucking, like, there's no way I'm ever going to believe you. Like, never. I will go do whatever it takes, right, to prove you wrong. So, kind of like, you know, someone saying you're not good enough for that.
It's just like your core driver. Like, what are you constantly, you know, there was a huge component to my life that was social justice. That's why I didn't get the thing. And so social justice, making everything fair, making people understand, making sure everybody was playing on the same level in the same field.
yes.
That was a driver.
Yeah, so your power is justice.
Was.
Yeah. Your power was justice. You know.
But I think
But
that's
it still
true.
is.
Like your powers evolve as you get older because for a long time, you know, I had that whole. For some people, I was like, you know, you can kiss my ass. I'm going to do what I want, but it was different with different people. And then over the years, like right now, I'm just going to take over the fucking world. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, it's not about proving anyone wrong or anything now. It's just like showing other people if I can, you can. So I think it'd be really interesting to look at what were your powers, like where did that come from when you were younger and how that's evolved. And then use your thing and be like, is that where I want it to come from?
Yeah.
Like, that just blows my mind.
So, I guess for me, sometimes I struggle with these things because I don't feel like I had like this childhood that destroyed my life, you know? Type of thing, you know? When I talked to some of you guys, apparently I was floating on fairy clouds, you know? And like I thought my childhood sucked.
Aren't you lucky?
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, but your power can come from love and having a loving home.
I would say that I had a fairly, even though we didn't have money, there was still stressors in my.
Yeah, I mean,
I had a loving family, and I had a mother who wanted to show me the world, even though we couldn't afford it. So it was curiosity, you know, wanting to learn more and having an environment that I feel like that's where a lot of my, like, ooh, tell me about that sort of thing. So I don't think it has to necessarily just be a negative thing where your power is coming from.
So for me, like, I just feel like it was a pre-chosen destiny. They're like, this is what you're gonna do. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but what drives everything else that you're doing though? Like the shit just in the moment. You know what I mean? Delivering babies. There's a part of you that said, I have to fucking do this.
No, that's like, I've never had it.
Well, or like 30 minutes before this retreat started, what was your driver? What were you hearing yourself say? I have to do this. This must happen. This is the way it's got to go. This is like there. So whatever the core is behind those thoughts, that's your driver. Like, what is it? It's like, okay, so is my driver, everything always has to be perfect? Is my driver, I have to create the best environment for everyone? Is my driver, like, what is your core of everything that you do in your business, in your life? Where's your motivation coming from?
And I think for you, what I've been hearing the last few, like, week or two is I am an entrepreneur and that's all I can fucking be. And I know that that's one of them. But I know that there's something deeper than that as far as what it is. But maybe
I think I've seen you want everybody to come along with you. It's like you absolutely are like, hey, I found this cool thing, come along with me on this journey. Like, and I don't know if that's.
No, I picture myself, I'm like, I tell, where did Debbie go?
I'm right here.
I tell Debbie, I'm like, come on, Debbie, you're coming. Come on. And I just picture my, like, I do it all the time. I'm like, come on, Nicole. Come on, all of you. We're all coming.
And maybe not even.
So the adventurer, that's a power place for you, being an adventurer.
Not just the mother physically, but also
Yeah.
because I'm not a mother, but I consider myself a mother
Very
figure because
maternal,
I love
nurturing and stuff.
like I love being generous of spirit and like you said, like here, come on, I want everybody to come and get something out of it, and I get that from you. Like you
Yeah.
definitely, even probably before you had kids, had that kind of.
I think the
spirit.
next part might really help you with
Okay.
this, Sam.
Okay.
I really do. So, I'm a very visual person. I have to like visualize everything, and then I have to write shit down so I remember it and see it on the paper. So this one, the picture the pit of power. So I like to think that there's like just something that lives like right in here. That's what you call on, and that's what you bring up and bring forth. And I want you guys to sit down and like now picture like exactly like your spot in your body where that lives. All right. What does it look like? Is it fluid and moving? Is it stone? Is it colorful? Does it smell like anything? For me, mine's very fluid, but it's very thick and viscous. And when I need to call on it, it hardens. So if you think of, I don't know if you guys have ever done this with little cornstarch experiments. When it's just sitting there, it's very hard. When you pick it up, it just runs through your fingers. That's what mine is. And I've had to call on this damn thing so many times, so I know what it feels like. And because I can picture it, and I think, like I said, this would really help you having like a visual of what your power is. When you can visualize it, and in those moments, especially when you really need to call on it, you can be like, okay, I know where you are. We're bringing you out to play. Does that make sense? Okay. You guys have any questions or thoughts on that one?
I was gonna say, can we like
You need
kind
to
of
give us some time to work on.
Yeah.
it. Meditate.
I feel like I was just trying to tap into what I'm feeling right now, and I feel kind of growth.
Mm-hmm.
So I just started drawing. I was like, I feel like there's a little garden in there with like things, and a garden can produce some beautiful things, but it takes love and it takes good soil, and when things come after it, it says here, take my beauty, my vegetables, my herbs, etc., but don't take my soil. Like that's kind of. So I don't know. You were talking about that cornstarch has this elemental property that changes depending on how you treat it. I was just thinking if we could all if you could lead us in maybe like, is it red? Is it yellow? Does it feel? Does it?
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I want you guys to sit down. I'm a big believer in like the first intuitive thought. That's pretty much where it is. That's what it is. So for you, it's a garden.
Well, this is all that I just started drawing when you were talking.
Yeah.
And that doesn't look like a garden, but it was
Not
like,
yet, it
this
doesn't.
feels rooted, but this feels
I see it.
fluffy.
It's a vine.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I was just like, what am I?
So like
I
that,
feel like
yeah, that
this.
first thing. That's what it is. You guys,
Poison ivy, I love
Yeah.
that. Sorry.
but yeah,
Yeah.
sit on your own and really like delve into that and see what it is and feel what it is, and literally feel that in your entire body. And you're gonna be like totally mind blown. You're gonna be like, what the fuck did she just do to me?
When I've always done this, it typically has focused on the chakras. So like the root chakra, the heart chakra, those things. And
I did my heart chakra with my.
Yeah, well, it's weird, and I think I'm kind of questioning a little bit. Initially, I went with my root, which is so atypical of me because all of my passion and power comes from my heart. Do you have any type of way that we can sort of clarify? Like, do you have tips or exercises for how to go deep? Because I feel like it's not both. Or maybe it could be both, but I don't think it is. And so I'm wondering how to kind of tap a little bit deeper into that.
I think because having your power and knowing where your power source is, it's so personal. Like, I can talk to you about it, but I can't really be like, okay, now Debbie, we're going to go down your throat and inside. And then we're going to stop at that point. Like, I feel like because there's two separate things, that you're going to have to look at both of those and see what the connection is between the two of them. You know what I mean? And then that's going to be the spot. Does that make sense?
Maybe it's different motivators as well. I mean,
Or
like,
maybe it
yeah, we
changes
have.
as your power changes too.
And I would totally get rid of the idea that it has to be a chakra, because mine isn't.
No.
Mine's like an inch or two below my belly button, and you know, it's like the chakras are, you know, a great lead-in, but there's like a billion chakras. There's not 7, and like I'm so over the Western chakra system. You know, so
I just don't know how, like for me, even just to start visualizing where my power comes from internally, at least the chakras, I had some place to start.
Right.
Well,
That's
so
what
then
I'm thinking
start
is, where
with
do I
what
start?
it looks like and what it feels like and what it smells like and what it sounds like for you.
Just some dad, Nicole.
Well, just how, you know, when you were talking about where does it come from, and I was taught growing up that we just had to settle because only other people had all the shit that you really wanted, or we'll never have that because we're so for, until I was in my 30s, I thought that you're just born into your life and that's just the fucking shit you get, like too bad, so sad, right? And everybody else gets it. So to move that, so now my thing is, and so when you said about an image, I actually got a sword and a shield, like I'll go to battle for people, man. Don't ever think, it's like the thing when you hear people talking and you're like, you almost have to get out of your chair to be like, no wait, let me tell, right? It's that thing. I can't let people settle because it's bullshit. Never settle and never say like, I don't know, I can't have, how do I, you know, that, and so that.
So you're already calling on it, which is the next part. But yeah, exactly. No, and I like sometimes I think of for different people that their like center of their power is actually like a vat of molten steel, like because it can be forged into anything. You can call on that to be anything you need it to be.
And it makes the energy tangible.
Exactly. So when you add like that tangible mental element to it, I think it frees you up from saying, okay, it needs to be in this one spot. It needs to look like this. It doesn't need to look like anything. Your power could literally be throughout your entire body. It could be in the palms of your hands. It could be in your pinkies. You know?
What are some things you like to do, or like things that excite you, or like, you know, we had Janae talking about how travel really was a good metaphor for, you know, the potential of being able to explore and travel. And so that's where, like you said, it doesn't have to be a place on your body. Hers is outside of her body, but it's her thing.
Yeah, and mine's in my body until I need it, and then it'll either run through my body, or if I'm going to a networking or speaking events, it's all around me.
Like an
Semi-
orb. Like an orb.
Semi-permeable, but still all around me. It's like that whole, I put on my suit of armor, you know, that for me, I actually got into it from using the energy of the knights from the tarot cards. That was my visualization. Now I'm going to put on my armor, which was really funny because I was raised fundamentalist Christian, and so as a child it was, I'm putting on the suit of God, you know? So it was a very easy step, but it changes over the years too, and it's, I think going through your chakras and just testing them and asking them, are you my center of power?
Yeah, like my heart
If
was
you
pissed
were-
that I felt my root first. My
Oh,
heart was
you're-
like, excuse you?
I feel like heart chakras are like dominant because the heart has their own energy. We were talking about this the other day. Mine's always like, are you listening? Are you listening? And I'm like, I'm trying to talk to myself, not you. You know? It's like, whoa, 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 whoa.
And they all
That
have
is
their own
really
purpose. So, and
Yeah.
I'll tell you, one's black, they're all black. It doesn't, you know.
And the other thing is, in this country, we tend to only look at the fronts of our chakras. If you're not talking to the backs, you are fucking yourself up. So, if your heart's mad, you also need to see what's coming out the back of it, too. And what's coming in through the back. Yeah.
But I'll say this is like a game changer already. I was just saying to you in the kitchen, like what knowing where this comes from for me is changing my messaging with like why are you living a life you don't like and not happy about? Who taught you to settle for that? Right? What are you waiting for?
Yeah, I think too because we sometimes start veering off into other people's lanes, or we're watching what they're doing, and we forget this shit. And you know, telling our clients this, no matter what we're in, being able to tell our clients, like, yes, you are just as fucking powerful as I am, and helping them to see that. I mean, even Pete could see it, Kathy. But being able to convey that to them and kind of like take that like leadership. Listen, I know where my shit comes from. You have it too. Focus on that, and you'll never go wrong. And I kind of feel like, and especially for me, this is very cathartic because of the bigness of this trip for me. And it's kind of also why I put calling on it when you need it. Because I needed it for the damn plane flight down here. I needed it when I had my C-section. Because I'm very autonomous. Do not do anything to my body without my express permission. And getting cut open, you can't really do anything when you're under anesthesia, you know? So you're at the will of someone else. And, you know, a lot of times, like, in the very, like, vague sense of it, people call it your guts. Like, you know, do you have the guts to do that? No, do you have the power to do that? Where's your power to do that? Let's see your power to do that. So when you have to call on it, it's really just needing self-reliance, right? And knowing that you are the only one in this moment that can give you that. Nobody else is going to be able to give you any power. Sure, you can feed off of other people's power, they can loan you some, but ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, it's you, right? And you're going to be the only one that can actually get through the situation, whatever the case may be. You know, whether it's a very good situation, coming down here, getting to meet literally everybody that I talk to every single day, face to face, or, you know, going in for a C-section, or, you know, having to get like any kind of surgery or some kind of negative connotated thing, right?
Can I say, I feel there is power in the quiet as well. I feel like some of what Janae was talking about earlier today was boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes your power comes up in more subtle manners. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily having to go into battle. It's not necessarily having to challenge yourself, but also being willing to step back and the power to give yourself space to re-energize that.
Oh, absolutely.
That cornstarch viscousness.
Yeah.
You know, it has to replenish somehow.
And I'm a firm believer that you can't really set boundaries unless you make the absolute ultimate decision to set those boundaries. And that you call on that power. It doesn't have to be an in-your-face, you know, kind of power, but enough power where you're like, that's it. You know, I've set this boundary, this is what it is. You know, I haven't spoken to my mom in 3 years. That was my choice. I ended our relationship. She has to see my kids. I said, no. She's a toxic person. I don't need her in my life. It's not something that lights me up. Spending time with her drained the shit out of me. The past 3 years have been amazing because I harnessed that power, I called on it, and I said, listen, this is what I need to do. So, you know, that's a prime example of exactly what you were saying. Like, yes, when you have to set boundaries, it doesn't have to be so powerful that the other person, like, you know, gets bitch slapped with it. But it has to be enough where you can call on it and you can stand firm knowing that whatever it is rooted. For me, it's here, so I'm just going to keep going here. But it's rooted in that spot or those spots, you know. My last little part here is kind of, it was already foreshadowed how we forget to be powerful and that we are powerful. So all of the things that you've been through, good or bad, have forged you into who you are now, right? So this is where like the whole steel idea comes from. We're all molded by our environments, our relationships, all that kind of shit. And these are the things that make you powerful. Your experiences are your own. I can't be powerful because of the things that you've done or not done, right? So we all, as, you know, business women who have our own businesses and who are pretty much destined to kick ass at everything that we do, know that there's literally nothing we can't do once we put our minds to it. Say hello to your power. Like, that's where it's coming from. That's what's driving you to always be like, yes, I can do this. Like, even on the days where you're like, shit, I can't do this. You still have that power within you to do it. So once you decide to see all of this shit and see what we've done and what we haven't done, you're able to say, I'm powerful because. And I'm powerful because I want to do these things. And I know that I can do these things. That kind of stuff. Sometimes we are able to see and recognize the power in another person. You know, I recognize your power. Everybody's power in here. I can feel it bubbling right now. You guys are like, it's wanting you to feel it and see it. But I really feel like sometimes we have a really hard time in seeing it ourselves. Especially for those of us who have had really shitty pasts. Because that's like the thing that's always been taken from us, is our power. At the root of every fucking thing, it's always been power. Everything's a power play. And when you remember that your own power is in you, you don't have to worry about anybody taking it anymore. You know? So, this sheet, when you guys get a chance, the I'm powerful because, I want you to fill it up with everything that makes you powerful. Okay? That's all I have for you guys. So, I know that it was like heavy and holy shit. So everybody take a deep breath because we're good. And do you guys have any other questions? Anything you want to
So
say?
Betty's watching. Betty says,
Hi, Betty!
Yeah, she says, I'm powerful because I'm rising from the ashes and making changes with the love and support of my badassery sisters.
Woo! That is awesome.
Every time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, next time.
Woo!
So there's what I wanted to say.
It sounds like a bunch of cows over here.
Yeah.
Do it, Nicole. Do it, Nicole.
Did Debbie, do you have something to say?
It was.
Debbie,
In response
before
to
you
your
get
question
on.
about where is my power and what is it, one of the things, it's like when, really good example, it's like as parents, you just get really, like your kids are like, can I do something? Or you just hit that point and you just settle in and you say no. They absolutely know that it is non-negotiable.
Don't
There is
ask me
no
again.
discussion allowed here. That's your place of power. And I talk a lot about becoming a mountain, and I'm gonna show Brittany how to do this while we're here. Is becoming a mountain, because when you settle in, and then you can find all those places.
Yeah. And but before you become a mountain, what I was gonna say was I do this exercise where I'm like, you really have to close your eyes and take some deep breaths, and visualize all the thoughts running around in your head. And sometimes it'll help to like imagine them coming together in like a ball of energy or light, and then putting that shit on an elevator if you need to or whatever, and picturing it going all the way down towards your root. Because if you can move those thoughts into your root or your hips or somewhere down below your belly, then you get out of your head, and then you're able, because that's your problem. Don't even that's your fucking problem.
We were talking about that last night. You know,
Yeah.
about it was funny because after I drew my garden drawing, right? And I was like, well, obviously a garden needs sun, and you gave me yellow pictures, but I'm like, but my head is where the storms are always at. And
So you mean in clouds?
yeah, the clouds we were talking about. Yeah, those things that
those clouds.
don't mean anything to me. And I was like, wait, but I love storms, and I know they're powerful, and they can be dark in my head, but if I just take that rain and that energy, and I take it down into this little garden,
Yep.
it's gonna produce some wonderful shit, and my mountain's gonna get tall, and there's gonna be forests and all kinds of fucking amazing things growing out of it.
And you'll have a cup of abundance.
Yes.
And you'll actually
I can drink
reach out and
forever.
take it.
Yeah.
Not just have it like float
Yeah.
Science, Kathy.
And
Science.
How am I now?
Boom.
Full circle here. This is awesome.
Yeah, but I think if you do that and then whatever your mountain exercise is, because you have to do that before you can become a mountain. Unless that's part of your mountain, I don't fucking know. But I don't know what your exercise is. I'm just saying pre-em.
Yeah, I think what I felt was definitely a disconnect in here,
Mm-hmm.
and it was kind of like, you know, by going straight down and my heart being like a little lot pissed off.
I need to send you I have a training on that. It's called Unleash Your Inner Magic, and it's where 30 days you sit down and you do that really quickly. It's like an hour-long training you listen to once, and then for like 5 minutes every day, once or twice a day, you do that and you connect in, and it really trains you. Because the first time I did it, and all of my clients I used to get would have this issue like, well, I don't know what I'm feeling. You know, I just know what I'm thinking. And like we don't. It's like those little stickers that you give kids, like, how are you feeling today? And like somehow as adult women, we're like, we talk about our feelings constantly, but we're talking about them. We're not just feeling them.
I think most achievers and, you know, a lot of badass bosses and a lot of the people in the personal development arena are high achievers, and that is such a common problem among high achievers, is that disconnecting from emotion so that you can elevate. But then I think everybody comes to the point where they say, oh my God, I'm so disconnected, I don't even know what the fuck I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And I think that this is so helpful to just like say stop, because you are powerful, and stop questioning things and stop thinking and get out of your stormy head.
Stormy head.
And
Stormy head. Stormy head.
yeah, and reconnect. And I think, you know, what I'm looking for is just some resources to do that, and this has been really helpful.
Yeah, I'll give you that
Yeah, I
training.
think.
What's that?
Yeah,
Nicholas?
maybe I'll just post it for everyone.
Everybody.
Yeah.
We tend to get into that, well, I think I should, well, I don't know what to think, well, I think, and so we get very top heavy and caught in our heads, and your crown chakra right away is like, makes my head spin. But because we have all these thoughts, we gotta think about it, and what should I do, and what am I gonna do, and who am I, and everybody has it, right? And so we get really, the other thing about being divinely connected, when something's off in the lower chakra, is we go up, because we wanna elevate, and we wanna be, you know, connected to the higher, but when we're just stuck here, so using something to get back into, how do I feel about this, and feeling, reconnecting with body. Your body's gonna tell you what you are thinking.
Yeah.
If you're like, oh, I can tell your thoughts like shit. You know, so you're like, yeah, awesome, so, right? Your body is just settled and centered. You keep going like this, and so you're really pulling. And when you're talking about grounding, and so all of that is really in our body, not in our head.
Well, that's why I went out there and screamed before I came in
Thinking
here.
is
I was
really
like, I want all this
balancing
shit
your
out
checkbook and shit, not
because I need the good
figuring
shit to
out
come out. You know, and I, like, seriously, I recognize the power in everybody that's here. I see it and I feel it. You need to see it and feel it. You know, and everybody that's in, you know, badass bosses and level up and everything, there's obviously a power there. And if you're disconnected from that, yeah, you're gonna struggle. You're gonna veer off into other people's lanes. You're gonna, you know, you're gonna have a harder time remembering what it is that you need to do for you to be fulfilled and to not be in your head all the time or anything.
You're gonna think you need sales pages instead of just talking to people.
You know,
So, mine was my heart. It was really clear because all my power, you know, like where it comes from, was like being a mom, love. But then there's another part of me that just won't be beat. You know, like if it'll happen all the time. There'll be something that's hard to figure out. My husband will be like, just give up. I'm like, this is not gonna beat me. I'm gonna win.
Part of the lion.
Yeah, and so I mean, so the heart to keep going, you know. But one thing I got was that my heart sometimes is stone or steel, but I haven't really been letting it be light or song. So I've been very much more on the other side of it, where I'm just forcing my way through life instead of like enjoying.
that goes along with everything
And
that we were
allowing.
talking about last night at dinner.
Yeah, exactly. So my question was calling on it when you need it. So
now I just like stop and breathe and like call on it? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you can. What I need. Okay, so I'll tell you what I did before I got on the plane. I know you guys are just sick of hearing me. I got on the plane. Woo.
No, we're not. That's your bullshit.
Yeah. I'm like, I've barely heard this story. Like, where's the details?
But no, like before I got on it, I was like, okay, I am going to Florida. I want to do this. Like, stood up to my husband. I was like, no, I'm going. And he was like, okay. So for me, it was more so saying, okay, you need to do this. This is the step that you need to take in order to have this thing that you want so badly. And had I not like recognized that and called on it and said, we got shit to do, let's do it. You know, put your brave face on, put your big girl panties on, whatever your amp up speech is to yourself. I would have chickened out and I would have still been in Philadelphia. But because I was like, nope, you got work to do. And I was like, I'm getting on this damn plane. I don't care if I'm terrified. I don't care whatever negative shit is coming at me. I'm in my little bubble of power, and I'm going to force myself to walk every single step. And I feel like when you do that, when you really embrace that and you call on it, and you take those steps, you're like, oh, this power feels good. And you keep going. And then it becomes a lot easier to come back into that and call on it and just say, hey, we got stuff to do. Does that make sense?
yeah, thank you.
Did you create a power move at UPW?
No.
Okay.
Because that, you know,
That's what you need to do.
yeah, it's like this, I was like, you move around, I'm like, none of these feel right.
No.
But after I did the firewalk, I did this, but I don't do it hard because
You don't have to.
it goes right in my heart and it feels good.
And it's
it's like,
soft.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
your
it's
power
really-
move. That's your power move right there. That's your power move. You don't have to be
Yeah.
masculine. I think that's the point. You don't have to be masculine. Stand up, beat your chest, shout to the mountaintop to pull your power. And that's what she. Did you notice how powerful she was when she was just touching where her power
That's
came from?
true.
She didn't jump up, shout like a banshee, bring her balls out and swing them around. Like she just.
They go wide. They go wide.
You do jumping jacks.
Yeah, it's whatever it is that recenters you and just reminds you where. I'm sorry, you got me now. I'm like, where your power is,
Yeah.
Your power is that powerful that I'm in rapport with you totally, and I'm now connecting to the same source. So it's go with where you go, and you just went there. So I would just check that
Oh,
one
and
out.
look at Debbie using her power.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh.
I'm sorry, what's my power?
Wait, I got super mad.
Sorry.
Stop apologizing.
You know what I saw? I saw her go like this. Superman. That's what I saw.
I'm like, did you do your power move?
Yes. That's exactly.
Is she like bossy bitch? There you go.
I'm like, yeah,
I
yeah.
have a
Awesome.
thought about nurturing your power. So you said that when you got on a plane, it was your first trip on a plane, correct?
Ever.
That's
Yeah.
so crazy.
I thought that was the case, but the world needs to know. So when you had your power, I think of nurturing your power, like backing it up. Like, okay, here's my power. Do you have any tips or tricks for like backing up your power, or like, I'm gonna fortify
Like
this?
reinforcing
or like,
it?
or there steps, like what did you do? You said you were going to use your power, but there are little steps you took to, make sure that it was going to be helpful for you. Do you see what I mean?
For me personally, I just remind myself what I've already done.
Mhm.
So like with,
Leading
walking,
up.
leading up to it. So like walking down that little shooty thing, whatever the hell that's called, to the actual plane.
Yeah.
Listen, it was my first time, guys.
Nothing's
Going
totally
down the
unstable, too. I'm
Right?
like, how is this holding all these
Thanks,
people
Sam.
up?
Don't get
Her
her
Lori thoughts.
walking down the death chute.
It's cool. I've already done it once though. And that's, and like every step that I took, I was like, look how many steps I have behind me already.
Yeah.
Let's go another one.
Mhm.
And I like to thank my power. Like, so when I got settled in, I was like, you are the shit. Thank you so much
Yeah.
because now I'm here.
So
And
you're
it turned into
nurturing.
excitement
Yeah.
instead of just being absolutely petrified out of my fucking head.
Yeah.
So, for me, it's just recognizing what I've already done. Not what I had to do yet. Like, I still had to go through takeoff and actually come down here. But it was more so you know, I booked my ticket. I booked my plane tickets.
The stages of
For the past 2 months, I've been like, oh my god, it's coming. It's coming. I'm
Well,
gonna
and
go
you
on a plane.
said that, you said, I know I want this experience. I know there's so many steps in order to get there. And so by focusing on the end result too, it made you were like, so I bought the ticket, so I walked down the death chute. I got on the plane.
The death chute, great.
Sorry, I didn't think anyone
That was her. I heard her
said
say
that.
it.
But that's like when I was in the Army, you know, it was like, don't focus on the 7-mile run with your 140-pound rucksack on. Focus on your feet and the next 2 steps in front of you. Don't even look ahead unless, you know, you're under live fire. That's different. But like on just a regular run, there's no danger. It just looked down.
Yeah.
And that's how I used to get through 7 and 10-mile runs. It wasn't like, oh, I'm running 7 miles. It was like, oh, I'm running 2 steps. Oh, 2 steps. 2 steps. And then eventually they added,
fuck these 2 steps.
yeah, eventually I broke both my feet. But eventually I would end up at the 7 or 10 or whatever miles that had to be done. And I think, you know, as business owners, it's hard because we're like, I want to set up a worldwide foundation with all of this awesomeness for people to change their lives. Holy fuck, how do I do
Where do I
that?
start?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take a step.
Yeah.
You
And
find
take a
your
step.
power.
you find your power, and that's another thing. Like, here's an extra little freeb. When you have that power, your fears are just like, oh, okay.
They're more like fuel rather than.
I mean, they can be, yeah. For me, I'm just like, oh, well,
They become your subordinates.
yeah.
Those fears are like, alright, mine, dude, you know, she's wound up.
Exactly.
I'm gonna just step back.
Exactly. And it makes it so much easier, and especially, you know, with fear of visibility, you know, fear of success, which you guys know this is total bullshit. All of it is. But, you know, fear of not being successful, you know, and I don't like to say failure because we've all failed at things. So it's a fear of not being successful. Fear of getting on a fucking plane and being that high in the air when you can't stand on a stool to change a light bulb. Like,
That's what you can now.
I probably couldn't.
It's two
Yeah.
different things.
That's 2 different things.
My pilot husband cannot go on ladders. I shit
Listen.
you not.
Like, if you
two
try to
different
get to that
things.
3rd step, fuck you. Like,
Two
that's
different
too
things.
high.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
You know, I think the other thing too, though, is you celebrate the little steps that you took. And as actually what Debbie was talking about, achievers, right? I mean, I've done a lot of things, but even when I would be successful, I wouldn't take the time to celebrate those. Really, it's like, oh, done. I've got to find another thing.
oh yeah.
But if you celebrate the process, then you can always celebrate. I've been really focusing on doing that with my son, right? Focusing because he already, you know, I'm the best at this, and I'm like, you put in the best effort. Because I don't want him to have to feel like he has to be the best forever. Me either, right? But those little celebrations, it does reinforce that power.
Yeah. I'll tell you guys, like, later what I do to celebrate all of my little achievements. No matter what it is. Like, booking a discovery call, booking my ticket to come down here, like, whatever it is. Like, I actually have a list of things. And I assign that to the assignment, the project, whatever it is. And once that's completed, I go do that thing, or have that thing, or experience that thing, whatever it is that got associated with it. So not only am I refilling and honoring everything that I've already done, but I'm also celebrating because nobody else is going to fucking do it but me. So, and that's not to say that, you know, people aren't going to be like, oh, that's a great job. That's superficial. You know what I mean? Like, when you feel it and you're like, I fucking did that, man, then you really experience everything that's, you know, with that. So
You're honoring your power source, really. Like,
exactly.
I'm gonna wrap up the video.
Yep. So that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys.
My name is, you can find me at.
Oh, my name is Brittany Petersheim. You can find me at No Place for BS on Facebook. Join the group. BrittanyMariePetersheim.com is my website. I'm all over the place. You can't miss me.